guys, I'm here to show you how to create a lesson in Nearpod. Nearpod has been around for some years, and I have to say that I like the updates and the changes that they're doing. So let me show you how to create just a basic lesson in Nearpod, and stay tuned for some more of my videos to give you more details and activities and lessons that you can do with Nearpod. But today we're just going to do the basics. So come on, let's go and get started. You're going to sign in to nearpod.com. And when you open it up, it's going to take you to My Library. And that's what you see on the screen right here. It's going to have the option for you to create a lesson in Google Slides. And once again, that's going to have to be another lesson. But today what we're going to do is focus on starting a lesson in Nearpod. So you're going to click on that. And when it opens up, you're going to see where you have your slides. All of your slides for your lesson will appear here. And you see where it says Untitled Lesson. You can just click on that and you can change that to whichever lesson, whichever title lesson that you would like that to be. Let me get that started right here. Okay, for some reason it's not working. There it is. For some reason it took some time to double click on that, and that's where you see add a slide. You can click right here, or you can just click right here in the box, add slide. And if you're familiar with Nearpod, they have a little different look, but everything is still there that you need for the content. You have video, you have a slide, which you can still add a video to that slide. And this is where I like to start for the title. Web content, if you have any web addresses that you would like to add, whether it's video or just a web address where it takes you to an article and information. You have Nearpod 3D, where they have some different objects and different things that you can see in a 3D version. You have the simulation, which is more for math and science. You have Field Trip, where it actually takes you to a location and you can see that area in 3D. You have the BBC video. You have Sway, which is similar to PowerPoint, but it's a different layout, gives you a unique look. You have the option of having a slideshow, the option of adding audio, which is great, a PDF viewer if you have files that are only in that format, and live stream with Twitter. For the activities, we have Time to Climb, which is like a game, open-ended question, which is just that, matching pairs, a quiz, Flipgrid. If you're familiar with that, you can embed your Flipgrid links right into Nearpod. That's one of their updated features. Draw It, which is great for annotation. Collaborate, which is just that, and we'll see what that looks like because that's a unique feature. A poll, fill in the blanks, and memory test. So we're going to start with content, and we're going to go to slide. I always like to start here because it's the way I can create my presentation slide to start off for my lesson. So for this slide, I'm going to label it, let's say demo. Oh no, I think I want to call this virtual learning. And you can add an image right here by clicking the plus, or you have the option of adding more text, video, as I said before, image, or GIFs. This is another option. I'm going to move my little face. You can add an image to the background. You can change the layout, add audio if you want to give a verbal introduction. And right here, this eye gives you the option of previewing the lesson. Over here, you have your selection of themes that you can choose from, and it automatically applies to all the slides. I'm going to go ahead and choose a theme. And then I'm going to upload an image in the background. So what's great about Nearpod is that you do not have to go out of Nearpod to search. You can search right within Nearpod, type in what you want, or you can upload using these options. So I'm going to type virtual learning, and I'm going to choose this image. And you scroll down and you click save. And it shows up right here. And you have the option of decreasing and increasing that image to whatever size you want. You also have the option of changing the transparency. You want it to be brighter, or you want it to be just a little hint in the background, and that's a good option if you want to add text on top of the image. So that's an alternative. But I'm just going to click save and exit. I like the way that looks. Virtual learning, and I have my image. That's my first slide. Now I'm going to go on to my second slide. A good second slide that I like to use is the poll, because you want to get a kind of feel of what the students know. So I like to use this poll. And since we're talking about Nearpod, I'm going to start off with a question about Nearpod. We're going to see who's all heard of Nearpod. So when it comes up, I'll move this over here. Let me just move myself down here. And you have a place to type your question. Have you heard, let me spell that correctly, heard of Nearpod? And down here you have your options. Yes, and then you click no, and you can just add another option, say maybe. So this is good for just a question that you may want to, just a filler question to kind of see where your audience is and where are they with as far as the content or the topic that you're going to present. If you scroll back up, you see you have the option for a timer. And this is good if you want to make sure you're working on your time management and your students or your audience is not kind of getting distracted. You can add that timer. You also have the option of adding an image, a video, PDF viewer, audio, web content, and you still have the option of adding verbal instructions to this as well. So once again, when you click on it, if you decide to do an image for this particular question, you have the same options as you did before. You can type in what it is that you want to search for, or you can use the upload options. And I'm just going to click right here. You scroll up, you see the save option, you click save. Okay, they said something went wrong with my image. Sometimes that happens. So this time, I'm still going to type in Nearpod, but I'm not going to choose that first image. I'm going to go with the second image. Maybe that has something to do with it. Click save and see if that works. And it looks like it's uploading. So sometimes you may have issues like that, and it may be the image or it may just be finicky at that moment. But since I have my question, I have my answer choices, now I'm going to click save, and there's save right here underneath my face. Click save, and now I have my poll question. Now, of course, you can always have multiple questions, but one question is just a good way to get a feel of the audience. So I have my poll question, and now I'm going to add another slide. So every time you want to add an activity or a slide, you click add slide. At this time, you can insert a video that's based on your topic that you're talking about. You could try out some of these other options, like if it's something related to science and you want them to look at, well, let's just look at this. If you are talking about science, you want them to look at an animal cell. When you click on this, you can see a preview of what that would look like, or you can just click done if you know that's what you want. But this preview gives you a 3D version of that object, and you can rotate it. The students can play around with that and look at all aspects of that animal cell. So that's great if you're in science. And they also have some other things that you can look at as far as 3D that's related to places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another activity. This is an activity that I like to use because I'm an ELA teacher. We do a lot of discussions, and sometimes I would rather have that discussion online than to have it verbally. And this Collaborate board, which is something new that Nearpod just added recently, well, within the last year, because they've added some new things recently like the audio. But this Collaborate board was something that they've added just within the last year that I thought was a great added feature. So I'm just going to put, what do you like about Nearpod? Just based upon what I've gone over so far. So you have your question, and you can add a description. You can add an image. It takes you to the similar screen as before. And when you scroll down, you'll see you have different views if you want to change the look of your collaborative board. And the students have the opportunity not to just type their answers, but also to add images, which is great. because we want to give our students an opportunity to have different formats and different forms of communicating and expressing what they know and what they've learned. Once you're done with that, you click save, and that slide is going to show up right in line with the other slides that's on our home page for our lesson. Now, if for some reason you say, I'm thinking that I want to change that 3D to slide 4 instead of slide 3, all you have to do is click and drag, and it's easy to rearrange your lesson. So even if you don't know the exact order or you forget something, it's easy to go in and add and drag that exactly where you need it to be. One last thing that I would like to show you is another activity. And of course, like I said, there are a lot of activities, a lot of different content slides that you can play around with. But this is one that I like to do, that my students like to do as well, is time to climb. Now, this is a good way to kind of check for your students' understanding and to do a quick review. So time to climb, when it opens up, it looks very much like the open-ended question. You're typing in your questions here, and then you are scrolling down, you're adding your answer choices. But what I like about time to climb is that you don't just have to do text, you could do images for your answers. So if you want to, once again, change it up and not just have a written answer, you can have images. And when it shows up, you'll see the complete quiz, and the students, the reason why it's called time to climb is because the students are trying to climb to the top of this mountain and see who's the winner by answering the most questions. And one more thing that I just remembered that I would like to show you is this activity. I'm going to go back to add a slide, go to activities, and draw it. This is a good activity. As I said before, if you're doing annotations, you're an LA teacher like me, or you're a history teacher, or even for science or math, if you have a document that you want the students to draw on, it's not something that you can get into a format where they can actually type. If it's something that's already saved, you can just upload it in that PDF form and they can draw on it. So here you can do your instructions, annotate. Let's just say Charlie's feelings in this excerpt of Flowers for Algernon. So once again, you can add your audio. You can go back over, how do we annotate? What are we looking for when we're annotating? How do we make sure we don't highlight everything when we're annotating? Because, most students, that's what they want to do. They hear annotate and they just want to highlight, highlight, highlight. So that'd be a good place to add that extra reminder, or you may want to do a video of that reminder, or maybe you just want to do an image of Charlie from Flowers for Algernon. But right here, you will upload your background image. And once again, you have these options that are coming straight from Drive, Dropbox, or uploading from your hard drive. I'm going to use the search box. I'm going to just search Flowers for Algernon story. And of course, you probably already have this somewhere in your personal files if that's what you're teaching. I'm just going to choose the first file and scroll down and click save. And once it uploads, the students will be able to actually draw on this using the features. Now, this is not a good document. It's really blurry. So sometimes you do really have to play with it to find the best document. What I found to be best is to have just a small excerpt so you can enlarge it so it could be a clear view. But right here, you have your options of turning it if it uploads incorrectly. You also have the options of flipping it if for some reason that's not working. But when the students are able to see this, they have the tools at the bottom where they can draw, highlight, or add text. So I'm going to show you from the students' view. Once this loads, so it shows you exactly what type of slide you've created. So you see right here, you have your title slide, you have your poll, collaborate, Nearpod 3D, and draw it. So it gives you a good view of what the slide is without even clicking on it. So I'm going to click preview right here. And notice at the top it says student preview. So this is what the student would see. So when you're actually in front of your class, you're going to be able to switch back and forth from the teacher view to the student view. And there will be some additional follow-up videos because there's so much that you can do in Nearpod. I would like to show you guys the reports and what it looks like once your students have actually submitted their lesson. And it's great data to use. And you can even use some of these lessons for grades. So this is what the student would see. They see these tools right here that they can use to draw, to highlight, add text, even add an image, take a picture, and then of course erase. You have the options of changing the colors, enlarging the size of the tool. The students will be able to select and highlight whatever it is that they would like to highlight. So I'm going to do a quick preview of the entire lesson. Then I'm going to close this lesson out. Like I said, please stay tuned for further lessons on even more detailed lessons in Nearpods and activities, and making sure that you understand all there is to know about Nearpod. So this took me straight to the slide that I just started on. I'm going to take us back to the very beginning to get a full preview of slide 1, so you will see what the student sees. So they'll see your first slide. And this is after they've gone to nearpod.com and they've put in the code, and or better yet, if you have Google Classroom, something that connects with Nearpod, all they will have to do is click on that link once you've shared it in Google Classroom. So this is the student view. Start off with the slide, and it could be teacher-led or student-led. If it's teacher-led, that slide does not move until you move the slide and let them go on to the next slide. So we have our poll. Yep, we have our question right here. We have our answers, and we have our image. So as a teacher, I would click the next slide. And then this is the post. What do you like about Nearpod? And also another feature that they have with the collaborate post is that you can moderate the student's post. So you can make sure that you see the post before everyone else sees it, which is a great amenity to have. And as I said before, if it's a lesson that you want the students to do on their own, you can make the lesson where it is completely student paced and they're working at their own pace. This is our 3D Nearpod, where we can move that animal cell around to get all angles of that. This is our annotation slide, where we have the option of annotating and drawing on it. And that is our last slide. So I'm going to take us out of student view. This is what you, the teacher, would see after you've created everything. You see everything right here. And of course, you can go back and add to your lessons after you've even shared them, but then you would have to update that code. So I'm going to save and exit so you can see what that will look like once it's saved. It's going to go to the section that says My Library, and that's going to be the first thing you see every time you log into Nearpod. So now you should see my lesson that I call Demo, and you see the title slide right here. It gives you the time, and this is where you would click whether or not you want it to be a live lesson or a student-paced lesson. You can go back and edit. You can do a preview. Right here is where you would actually click on if you're wanting to share with other teachers and they can collaborate with you, or they can just copy it and add their own to it. You can duplicate this. You can add it to your folder, export it as PDF so it looks just like a PDF document and you see all the slides. You can review the report. So I'm going to click on reports. And this is not going to have any reports because I haven't had any students to sign in, but this is where you will have all of your post-session reports. So there's no data reports for this particular session, for this presentation, but if I click view all presentations, you're going to see some of my old presentations where I did have students log in, and I can just show you an example of what that will look like. It tells you what the lesson is, who created it, and how many slides this presentation has. So when I click on it, it shows me all of the sessions and how many students are in that session, and I'm able to click on that and look and see what my students were able to do during that session. And one of the reasons why you see so many sessions for this one particular presentation is because I like to keep my classes separate, so it's easier to plug in those grades where it's needed. So here you get an overall summary of how the students did, their participation for the quiz, how many got correct answers and how many got wrong. And this is where you go in and get more detailed information about each question, who responded correctly and incorrectly. I'm not going to go through all of those because it actually has my student's name still on there, but it takes you through all the slides that you have, and it gives you a view of what the student was able to do. And normally on the Draw It, you're able to actually see the file that the students were drawing on and see what they drew, and you're able to click on each individual student's name to go into their file to see, did they actually annotate that file correctly, or whatever it is that you had them draw. If it's science, did they draw the diagram correctly? If it's math, did they plot the integers correctly? Whatever type of lesson that you're doing, you're able to click on each individual student to see their response. So I really like that part about it as far as the reports, because you can download it and keep it as your records for grade books. It's easy to transfer over to whatever system you're using for grades, or you can share that report if need be. So that's our report section. I'm going to go back to home, and I'm going to show you how you share and what it looks like when you're sharing Nearpod. So it's going to take a little time to load, but as I said before, you're going to have the opportunity to actually share it directly with Google Classroom. You click on these three dots. When you hover over the particular lesson, you can click there, share with teachers, and you have this option of emailing it, sharing it socially, clicking on the link, embedding it, sending to Remind. And this is the link. For some reason, the edit link is not showing up. Usually there's a link right underneath here that allows you to send a link that can be edited. So like I said, if you're going to share with other teachers, they'll have access to it and they can make a copy, edit it, and add their own slides or just use that themselves. But this link right here would be the link that you would use to post in Google Classroom. So if you go into Google Classroom, you create an assignment, you upload the link or you paste the link in there, then this takes them directly to the lesson without them having to put in a code, which to me saves time, which we always need in the classroom. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. You can leave any questions or comments that you have, and I'll try to make sure that I answer those questions and respond to those comments. As I said before, I will be uploading more videos about Nearpod and the different features that Nearpod has, and going into details about specific features as far as Flipgrid, time to climb, and different activities. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you again.